You want to know how civilizations actually end. Not with a bang, not with a whimper, with a syllogism, a logical trap so tight that everyone walks into it willingly because it looks like progress. Here is the trap. All complex civilizations run on energy surplus. Always have. The Romans expanded until their granaries were too far from their cities. The Maya built until their soil eroded. Every empire in history followed the same curve. More complexity, more energy cost. Eventually the surplus runs out and the whole thing collapses under its own weight. Joseph Tainter figured this out. It is not controversial. It is archaeology. We are approaching infinite energy, not metaphorically. Literally, photovoltaic cells are collapsing in price, exponentially. 1977 they cost $76 per watt. 2024 they cost 11 cents. That is not a market trend, that is a phase transition. The sun hits this planet with 173,000 terawatts. Every second, we use 18. We are energy billionaires living like paupers because we couldn't capture it until now. When infinite energy meets robotic labor, economics as a 5,000-year experiment ends, not changes, ends, because economics was invented to solve scarcity, to allocate limited resources, to mediate exchange when you can't produce everything yourself. But when energy is free and robots are self-replicating, what exactly are you allocating? The robots don't need wages, the solar panels don't need incentives, the AI doesn't need bonuses. The system runs on joules, and joules are becoming too cheap to meter. This is the Musk loop. Solar captures energy, batteries store it, AI optimizes everything. Robots use that energy to build more solar, more batteries, more robots, the loop closes. The marginal cost of physical goods approaches zero. Not low, zero. And when marginal cost hits zero, price follows. When price hits zero, profit evaporates. When profit evaporates, investment stops making sense. When investment stops making sense, money becomes a museum piece. You think I am exaggerating? Look at what already died. The internet collapsed the marginal cost of information to zero. Journalism died, music died, movies died. They had to be resurrected as artificial scarcity. Subscription paywalls, NFTs, experiences. You can't copy, but physical goods, you can't Spotify a house. You can't Netflix a meal, unless the robots build them for free. This is where Transformers becomes prophecy. Not metaphor, literal thermodynamic realism. Autobots and Decepticons fighting over energon crystals. Why? Because when you have machine intelligence, the only scarce resource is energy density. The only strategic asset is joules per cubic meter. They didn't fight over gold, they didn't fight over dollars. They fought over the ability to power the civilization. Musk knows this. Look at what he is actually building. Singularity, Megapacks, Optimus robots, the Dojo supercomputer, Neuralink, Starlink. Each piece looks like a separate company. It is not, it is a system. A closed loop designed to make human labor obsolete, not because he hates workers, because physics allows it. The Optimus robot isn't a product. It is a virus, a self-replicating hardware virus. Tesla builds one, that robot builds two. Those two build four. Exponential growth of labor supply while human population stagnates. In 20 years, the global labor force isn't humans. It is machines powered by photons. And photons don't negotiate. They don't unionize. They don't demand healthcare. They just work. This is the deflationary singularity that Silicon Valley is terrified of. Mark Andreessen wrote about it. Sam Altman is trying to solve it with universal basic income, but they're thinking too small. UBI assumes money still matters. It won't. When robots can mine raw materials, refine them, manufacture goods, transport them, and install them using free solar energy, the concept of a wage becomes as archaic as serfdom. You want to know what the future looks like? It is not capitalism. It is not socialism. It is not communism. It is post-economics. A world where the question isn't how do we pay for it, but why would we need to pay for anything? A world where value isn't measured in dollars but in megawatts under your control. A world where the people who own the solar farms and the robot factories don't need to tax anyone. They don't need to borrow. They don't need to print. They just produce unlimited, unstoppable, uncensorable. And here's the deepest cut. The people who control the loop control reality, not through votes, not through propaganda, through physics. If you own the energy infrastructure, you don't need to convince anyone of anything. You just provide the jewels that make their lives possible, or don't. This is why nation-states are panicking. China is racing to build solar dominance. The EU is terrified of energy dependence. America is clinging to petrodollars, while the world moves to photons. The old game was about controlling money supply. The new game is about controlling energy flux. And the players who figure this out first win everything. But there is a catch. There is always a catch. The same loop that ends economics also ends politics, because politics is the allocation of scarce resources. When resources are infinite, what is left to argue about? Culture war, identity, distractions. The real power moves to whoever maintains the infrastructure, the engineers, the grid operators, the AI trainers, the new priesthood of Joules. Musk isn't building companies, he is building a new civilization. One where the American dream isn't dead because it was murdered, but because it was transcended, where you don't need to work hard to achieve anything because achievement is measured in creativity, not productivity. Where the 41% of Gen Z who aren't proud to be American aren't wrong. They're just early. They can see that the old story is over. They just don't know the new one yet. So what do? I don't have the answer, but I know this. While we're arguing about Trump and Biden, about left and right, about who said what on Twitter, the loop is closing. The solar panels are being installed, the robots are being built, the AI is being trained, and when that loop closes, everything we know about work, value, power, and meaning resets to zero. The energy crystal isn't pink, it is blue. Silicon blue, photovoltaic blue, and the war for the future isn't about ideology. It is about who owns the infinite resource, who controls the loop, who writes the first code of the post-economic age. Money was a placeholder for energy we couldn't harness, a scoring system for a game of artificial scarcity. The Musk loop ends the game. Checkmate, the board resets, and we're all still playing Monopoly while the world becomes something we don't have words for yet. Stay human while it still means something. I am Maxence. Subscribe if you're still listening.